Now, you've been very consistent in terms of repealing or wanting to repeal Obamacare. Let me share with you what my concerns are. Okay, and maybe you can help me out with this. I wrote about this on Bayou Buzz 2 years ago, and I've written about it a couple of times since. One of my concerns is that just from a procedural standpoint, and that's it, procedural, okay? If you repeal Obamacare, okay, then it's no longer law. Now, what happens to the insurance policies that are in place at the time? Do you go back 5 years, 6 years? You can say, well, we repeal, but if you repeal, you better have something in place at the same moment. Otherwise, don't you have anarchy or chaos?
Well, it's just like any other government program or piece of legislation. You have to build, you have to build transition phases into any type of process, and the federal government is used to doing that type of thing. So even if a bill were to pass that said this is repealed immediately, the bureaucracy still has to maintain a process, build and maintain a process to get through the transition, to get to the desired end state of the legislation. Because that's what the legislation is going to define, is what is the desired objective? What do we want this to look like? My preference is that we want it to look like a free market system. We want it to be a free market system so that we can get these insurance premiums back down, so that we can buy insurance across state lines, so we can make health insurance more like a 401k, where it's a defined contribution system and it travels with a person, so they don't have to worry about losing their job and losing their health care, so that we can build a free market mechanism to resolve the pre-existing conditions issue. Because I think that's one of the things about Obamacare that's very, very popular, but it really wasn't part of the original Obamacare bill anyway. It was put in there to sweeten the pot, so to speak. But I think we can do that in the free market concepts instead of having the big giant federal government bureaucracy do it. And quite frankly, a lot of folks that are getting subsidies now, the next shoe to drop is going to be that they're going to be told when they file their tax returns that the subsidies that we're getting were too high. They really didn't deserve, and we're going to take that out of your refund check, or we're going to levy a bill on you.
They actually do that. I mean, they've been doing that now for years.
Yeah.
Basically, Obamacare for those people who do not get Medicaid, and basically, what you do is you sign an agreement with the federal government, and you say, look, when it's time, say, for me to pay my taxes, then I'm going to have to repay the federal government what I have received, or a line share portion of what I received. So, but anyway, that's just from I'm sure there are other things that are going to happen, but that actually is has been going on now for 2 years. But the pre-existing conditions, what bothers me about this is and look, please, if you can help out with this, I mean, it'd be great.
Sure.
But if you end Obamacare, then you end all policies. And if you end all policies, then you end pre-existing conditions too. So, unless those policies that are, say, maybe in place because they're by the employer, but the other, but if those policies under Obama, they're null in effect, and so is pre-existing conditions.
Well, it's the same way. When we implemented Obamacare, we did it in phases, though. We didn't say you have a new policy without giving people warning, and we didn't take people's policies and say your policy is invalid. All of those phases had transition periods where it was eased into it. You're going to have to reverse that if you get out of it. I mean, that's just common sense.
Look, I agree. But please understand what I'm saying is that unless you have pre-existing conditions and insurance policies in place, at the time to replace the existing policies, then you're going to have, then you're going to have chaos.
That's the exact opposite of what we did with Obamacare. They had to build Obamacare policies in place before they did the transition of people that were transitioning to those Obamacare policies. It's the same thing. It's just in reverse.
Well, but what Congress has been doing is trying to repeal. So had they repealed it and had the president been forced to sign it, or if it or if he was overridden, then it would have been repealed. There would have not have been anything in place. And so everybody would have been without insurance and pre-existing conditions and all.
I don't buy that. When you look at how the legal documents are built by the insurance companies, they don't put anything in there that says that your insurance is immediately canceled if X, Y, or Z occurs these days, and that's not in the existing insurance policies from what I'm aware of.
Okay, well, anyway, I've expressed what my real concerns are regarding, that's not to say not to radically change it. I'm just concerned about, hey, what if Obamacare dies? Who is going to have insurance and who is not going to have insurance? So
I think it's a valid concern, and I think it would have to be addressed one way or the other. I think the big issue, though, is that premiums are rising way beyond what anybody even predicted. For most people, small businesses are going out of business. I still talk to people all over Louisiana that now are not only going out of business, but young people and entrepreneurs don't want to start businesses because it's so expensive, both from Obamacare and from other regulatory requirements, those kind of things. And we've got to get that addressed, because that's where most of our jobs are really created. That's why job creation is stagnant. Because you can't use the federal government to create jobs. You can only make it so big before you start running out of money. I think we're there. So we've got to really take a hard look at it.